What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock, what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow based off of the charts are showing and based off of the data is suggesting. I'm also going to break down what's going on with the Fed, what's going on with the SPY and the overall market, and how these things could affect NIO. Some big pieces of news that just came out that make me very bullish for the long-term future, and also with NIO put on their Twitter page, which is great news for its future. Now, before I break anything down though, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner, so don't take any of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and it's in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is, one of these 12 free stocks could be a free Tesla share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 2 weeks, so please check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So when we look at overall what's going on with NIO, we can see right over here, NIO is actually down over 6% since like Friday. And considering that NIO is moving this way, there are some very important things we have to note for the upcoming trading week. So when we look at SPY is also looking very bearish in my honest opinion. When you look at the weekly chart, you guys will notice you have this massive bearish engulfing candle right over here. It's huge. SPY took a big hit, and it does look like the overall trend does look a little bit more bearish, because when you look at how SPY was moving like on the daily, remember how SPY was respecting this uptrend? Right here, I drew this out. We actually broke below this trend line. So what often happens is we kind of get like a retest of the trend, either like a retest of the trend, or we push up just a bit before we get another leg to the downside. So it's very possible for SPY to come down, and I think it's more likely it does end up coming down a little lower, especially because FOMC is coming very soon, and the market's very uncertain about what the Fed is going to do at this point. As a result, that will have an effect on NIO, and we can see how it's already starting to affect NIO. So if you look at SPY and NIO kind of like side by side, you'll notice something else very interesting. Right here, you'll notice that SPY is also coming down. NIO is kind of like following SPY as it comes down as well. And the whole market is kind of like running in unison. You can see how they're both very correlated right over here. So anyways, looking at the market, there are some important things I have to note. We have FOMC coming up in just 2 days. That's the start of the meeting. And then by Wednesday, we have the big rate hike announcement to be made. Right now, when you look at the markets, you will notice that we have fully priced in 75 basis points, but 100 basis points is still on the table, and the market may be getting ready to price that in, which is why things are very uncertain. So because of that, this is going to affect demand in the USA. It's going to affect a lot of things all over the world, and that's having its effect on our economy. Now, when it comes to NIO, if you look at the overall trend in it, if we go down here, you'll notice not only does it tend to be correlated with SPY, but the price pairs ratio actually went down a bit. That's a sign that SPY coming down is having an effect on NIO, and NIO is starting to actually come down even more as a result of that. Now, what is good is a lot of analysts are still pretty like bullish on NIO long term. They still think that NIO is going to make some nice moves to the upside. But for the short term, as we approach FOMC, I am anticipating more downside and choppy price action. If you look at the overall options flow, right now, we could see a lot more bearish positions being made than bullish positions, and we're starting to see a lot of the trends kind of shift more into the favor of the bears who have more control. If we look at the overall flow of the SPX, there are a lot more puts being bought as of right now. Now, that doesn't necessarily guarantee that the market is just going to come crashing next week or like in the upcoming week, but it is an indication that it is possible, right? It's very likely based off all these different signs being put together. So with that said, it may have an effect on NIO. So right now on SPY, what I'm watching for is I think SPY has the potential to actually bounce, maybe push up a bit, maybe fill this gap up here, because it looks like we got a nice balance. We may end up pushing up kind of like a fake out. But if the SPY is starting to make those like lower highs, then that's a sign we're going to get a big rejection. So what I'm seeing is, if you look at SPY, you guys can see how it was like way higher up here, then it came down and down and down and down. Then it had a big drop. It might get some relief, push up, fill this gap, maybe get rejected very close to the 200 EMA. And then after that, I would anticipate Another big rejection in SPY coming all the way down, retesting 382 and maybe coming down lower. As a result of that, I think NIO might push up a bit tomorrow, but then it should get a big rejection after that. Now, I know you guys do not like to hear that. I was saying this for a while and people were just very upset, but look at what NIO ended up doing since I mentioned that. We've actually seen it starting to come down. I was a little bit early when making the claim, but it did end up actually happening. So looking at NIO, what I would anticipate is we could actually push up a bit and retest the 200 EMA, kind of like how SPY may, and then we could get a big rejection from there and start retesting these new support zones. So I mentioned previously, guys, that I saw NIO coming down to the 19s, maybe filling this gap all the way down here. Let me show you where it is, all the way down to the low 19s, and I do see that happening relatively soon, unfortunately. But before we do that, what I'm going to be watching for tomorrow is this. I think tomorrow, with SPY pushing up, NIO is going to actually push to the upside on Monday like this. NIO is going to end up retesting resistance at around that 20.8 zone, maybe closer to that 200 EMA, like around here. And we might get a big rejection. And slowly we might start to kind of bleed like this. And we might actually start fighting for that $20 level of support. We may actually break below it to get a big rejection and come down to that 19.5 range. Now, depending on how bearish the market is, if we get a huge rug pull, NIO could even come lower all the way to that gap fill area in one day. It's unfortunate to hear that, but it is very possible. But I'm not going to be that bearish in one day. I would like to see us balance and hopefully hold and maybe close around that 19.5 or even lower than that, the low 19 range. So I'm a little bit more bearish than bullish for tomorrow for NIO, but for the long term, I'm still super, super bullish as we do have great pieces of news. Now, right now, from a more technical standpoint for NIO, let me just show you guys this first before I get into the news. If you look at our MACD, RSI, and our, let me see, where's the volume? On the daily chart, I'm noticing something very interesting. We got some bearish volume right over here. It actually pushed kind of like this, not looking that good. MACD is starting to curl a bit on NIO. RSI is coming down, which is not the best of signs. On the 2 hour, very similar trend. You guys could see MACD already flipped on the 2 hours, trying to come down. We're on the verge of getting a 1348 EMA cross. We're barely holding the 200 EMA on the daily. Once again, looking more bearish overall. On the 5 minute for the short term, it looks like we could bounce a bit. We have some space, especially as volume peaked at the very end of the day. RSI was starting to come up. So it looks like we could push up a bit, then get a big rejection a little bit later on. So that's essentially what I'm seeing happening to NIO and what many of these technical indicators are showing us. Now, please note something else very important before I transition into the last part of this video. Let me bring back my support and resistance levels. Remember, guys, if NIO pushes up, all right, NIO has resistance, strong resistance at 20.8. If we break past that, then 21 to 21.5 are also strong resistance zones. Now, if NIO doesn't necessarily do that, we end up coming down. You have to watch for 20, watch for 19.56, 19.29, and 19 flat, all being support zones, which NIO could end up retesting. So anyways, guys, thank you for listening to this part. And I want to talk about something else that's important about NIO. NIO is already starting to ship their power swap stations made in Europe. That's a very good sign for their expansion. What we could end up seeing is a lot more demand for their cars around the world, which could really improve their profits and their earnings per share and many other ratios like that. As commodity prices are starting to go down, we can see better margins as well for the company. So we'll have to wait and see how they really adjust to prices, but they're doing very well fundamentally. So the market's not moving based off fundamentals, guys. That's the reason why these strong fundamental companies are still taking these hits. We're moving based off the Fed and based off future projections in our economy. With that said, the long-term future for NIO is bright because when fundamentals start driving the market, NIO is going to explode. This thing is going to be very bullish in my opinion. But for the short term, I still anticipate some choppy price action with the FOMC. Despite that, NIO is still strong fundamentally. If we just remain calm, cool, and collected, things will improve. Anyways, NIO is now building more and more of these battery swap stations. I'm still very optimistic, and I will most definitely see you guys in the next video. NIO to the moon because the long-term future is bright, and peace out.